Am I the asshole for getting mad at my mom for bringing a man into our home 2 weeks after my stepdad died? Sorry for formatting, I'm on mobile. I, 19F, and my mom, 60F, recently had my stepdad pass away 2 weeks ago. He has been in my life since I was 10 and I loved him so much, and the whole situation of his passing was traumatic because he passed away in her arms and we are grieving. I have been taking care of my mom because I feel I need to. Making sure she takes her heart medicine, making sure she eats and drinks water every day, just overall being as helpful for her as I can. Well, I left the house today to go out with my boyfriend. I told her I'd be coming home later in the night. Normally I come home pretty late. I didn't text her today because I assumed she would be sleeping. Long story short, I came home tonight to see an unfamiliar car in my parking spot in our driveway at 11 p.m. I was confused but just thought it was one of her girlfriends. I looked in the window to the living room and saw a shirtless man. I went to open the door but it was locked and I heard my mom whisper, "We weren't doing anything, okay?" I'm shocked and confused. She opens the door and I just looked at her and said, "What the fuck is going on?" Normally I wouldn't speak to my mom in a disrespectful way, but I couldn't hold myself back this time. I looked at the man sitting on the couch and realized it was my biological dad's. My mom divorced him and he still loves her ex-best friend who my dad and mom have known since they were 16. He recently divorced his wife and rekindled his friendship with my mom. I went off and started asking them why they were doing that shit in my stepdad's home. Yes, I know he has passed and is not coming back, but it seems gross to me that she would do that so soon in the home that was my stepdad's before it was ours. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I know I have no right to tell my mom what to do, but I was in shock and just started yelling at them. I told the guy he should leave and he walked out before he could even put his shoes on. After he left, my mom just laid down on her bed and stayed silent. I was asking her why she thought that was a good idea and why she had to bring him into our home for a late-night booty call. She stated that my stepdad was in bad health, which is true, and they hadn't had sex in over a year, and she never planned for that to happen with the guy she invited here. I want to tell my older sisters what happened so I can know what to do, but I'm conflicted. Edit. In the end of our disagreement, I told my mom I respect her opinion and she can do as she pleases, but just to not bring him to our home, which she agreed to. I understand she has needs and will cope as she sees fit. I can respect that, but I don't agree with it. Edit 2. I felt the need to add that my stepdad was the most amazing thing that ever happened to my mom and I. He was there for us when no one else knew how after my mom separated from my dad. My dad wasn't the greatest towards her and she had to leave. My stepdad took on the job of being a dad when he never had a kid himself. He made our home warm and loving and did everything he could for us. We wouldn't have this home if it weren't for him. We wouldn't have anything. Even if in the end he couldn't be intimate with her, he loved her more than life itself and she knows that. Edit 3. Thank you for the awards and the advice. I talked it all over with my mom and we are back to being civil. I know I was in the wrong with the way I acted and know better than to disrespect my mom like this. I called one of my sisters and let her know and she was shocked but handled it well since she is older and far more mature than I am. The constructive criticism gave me help I was really in need of. Thank you again, heart. Nah. I absolutely see why this upset you. It would upset me too if I was in that situation. I can also see that your mom was sad and turned to a friend for comfort. It wasn't a great move on your mom's part to let you find out about it, but I cannot imagine that it was on purpose. Not the asshole. I get it. Your mom is also grieving and people have different ways of coping with loss. Granted, this isn't a very healthy way. However, in this situation I find that she didn't consider your feelings or your sister's feelings. If she wanted to sleep with someone else she could have done so in a hotel, not in the house of your deceased stepdad. Your reaction was completely normal, and for people saying that it's not your business what she does or with who she does, it kind of is. She's your mother, and she lives with you in the same house. This was just rude. Bringing another man into the house and planning to have sex with him, knowing your daughters might be able to hear it, especially after having lost their stepdad 2 weeks ago. Soft, you are the asshole. You have a right to feel how you feel, and grieve how you grieve, but so does your mom. You're an adult and presumably are being comforted by your BF. She probably wants the same. I'm sorry for your family's loss, cut her some slack. Not the asshole. Did I read the time frame right? Your stepdad passed away barely 2 weeks ago and she already is hooking up with someone new. That is a little sus to me. I would have freaked out too. Info: was your stepdad sick for a while? When one spouse has a terminal illness, it's not unheard of for the other spouse to essentially check out romantically before the first spouse dies. I know this isn't what you want to hear, but it could well be that your mother loved your stepdad, but moved on from him as a romantic partner in her head months ago. Nah. It's understandable why this upset you, but keep in mind that everyone handles grief differently, so try to show some empathy towards your mom. Incredibly sorry for your loss. It's not your place to micromanage someone else's grief or attempt at enjoying life. Honestly, if I had a 19-year-old tell me I can't have sex in my home as a grown-up, I'd tell them to move out, to be honest. Your feelings are also valid, but it isn't okay to treat your mom that way. If she has a history of this stuff, which you didn't mention, that would be one thing, but to me it sounds like she was lonely and is grieving. She is trying to find a slice of joy in a shitty situation. You don't know her situation, that man, and clearly she didn't feel safe sharing it with you because you're obviously judging. Very gentle, you are the asshole, because I totally understand where you're coming from and why this hurt. You have a right to grieve and to your emotions, but you aren't going to be able to control how everyone else works through their grief, either. She's an adult who is free to do what she wants with or without your approval, but she can't expect you not to be hurt by it, basically. I worry for your mom. I don't think this was rooted in her not caring about your stepdad in the least. It's likely that she felt extremely vulnerable and lonely and needed comfort. I hope you all seek out some grief counseling. I'm so sorry for your loss. Take care. Am I the asshole for bluntly telling a student to read the sign on the door? This happened just a few days ago. I, 26M, am working in an accounting office in our local government, equivalent to a county in the US and NUTS 3 in EU. Students from the local community college goes to our office something related to their exam permits. Due to the pandemic, we posted this on the office front door. No community college transactions inside. Please proceed to window 1 or 2. I am seated close to the entrance, but I'm not in charge of business related to the school. Students or their parent frequently, but not always, either ignores the sign or just hasn't noticed it. They enter the door and asked me about the permit. My answer is always, admittedly quite bluntly, please read the sign at the door. Generally, they are very apologetic. Though, there is still cases they are confused by the sign at the door. If I could read their mind, they must be thinking, what window? I just point to the direction of the window as soon as I make eye contact with them. One day, one of the students entered our office and asked about the permit. Let's call them Kevin. Kevin asked a question about the permit I couldn't remember. Me. Bluntly, please read the sign on the door. Kevin looks at the door and replies with an annoying tone, yes, I can read it. Me. Thinking, so you can read the sign, and entered anyway. And then said, please proceed to the window. I thought that was the end of it. One day the whole office, is discussing on how to make the sign on the front more noticeable. Another student entered the office earlier that day. One of our older coworkers, let's call her Corazon, suggests locking the door so the students don't barge in. As our boss, F, arrives, I informed her of our plan. Me. Boss, I will lock the door at 8:30 so the students don't enter so easily. Boss. Oh, by the way, Op, one of the students asked for your name. I think it's the gay one. Kevin appears to be gay. Maybe try a gentler approach. As I heard this, I told the whole office that it looks like someone spoke to the manager. XD. Later, the office printed a bigger sign, double the size than last time, to make it more noticeable. There are still students, or their parents, who enter the office but are less frequent now. Nowadays, I'm thinking if I was too harsh on the student. Am I the asshole? Just in case someone asks, I am in charge of the financial statements of smaller administrative divisions smaller than a U.S. county, equivalent to EU's LAO. ETA. I apologize for overemphasizing Kevin being gay. I edited the post to not distract from the focus of the post. The fact that Kevin was gay is because it was how his boss described them. Maybe campy was a better word. I live in a community that being gay isn't considered an insult. ETA 2. I'm surprised that the comment section turned the focus on identifying the student as a gay man. It was not only Kevin whom I told bluntly. There are other students who are straight whom I've also bluntly told to read the sign on the front. Though, admittedly, that wouldn't make me less of an asshole. ETA 3. Thank you for coming to my defense, everyone, even if I'm judged as the asshole here. There's a commenter here who's crossing the line with their accusations, and I feel it's beyond reasonable. So please understand if I'm still hung up with this issue, which is neither supposed to be relevant nor the main point of the story. I don't take kindly to false accusations. For if I am being condemned of a fault I didn't commit, I'd do anything that I'd lawful to do unto them what they intend to do against me. I don't understand why him being gay was relevant. You are the asshole. It's an easy mistake to make, you openly admit people frequently do. Why do you have to say it blunt or rudely? Please read the sign on the door. Sounds like that takes you about 7 words of effort. Now for comparison, please proceed to window 1 or 2. Looks like that also cost you about 7 words of effort. But one choice is actually informative and helpful and the other is simply snarky. It says a lot that you refuse to simply say, please, go to window 1 or 2, despite it requiring 0 extra effort. I hope it at least makes you feel extra smug. You are the asshole. Not the asshole, people should follow the sign, but also him being gay had to do with nothing. Info. Is it possible Kevin just didn't know that an exam permit was a college transaction? To me, a college transaction suggests buying something. Do students need to buy their exam permits? You are the asshole. Instead of choosing to be helpful, you choose to be dismissive. If you had just said, proceed to the window, to begin with, you would have ended the interaction more quickly. But because you wanted to be a jerk, Kevin had to ask for clarification. What is your obsession with saying, read the sign? Why can't you say, proceed to the window, instead? You are the asshole. A big gaping one. You sound absolutely horrible. And the way you and others in your office discuss the LGBTQ+ community absolutely enrages me. If you can't treat people with kindness, you should just stay home and let somebody else have your job. He should have read the sign and not bothered you. You were kind of rude. Am I the asshole for kicking my sister out of my house? Okay, so me, 27M, my girlfriend, 27F, and her sister, 27F, live in a 3-bedroom apartment in the city. My sister, 20F, went to university nearby but because of COVID couldn't stay in the dorms anymore, and since I live a 10-minute walk from the campus compared to my parents who live an hour drive away, I let her stay with me since the 3rd bedroom is just a spare room. My sister is a very social person with a large circle of friends. So I told her that she can have friends over occasionally as long as it's just a couple people max and that they don't make a mess. She agreed to this. Every Saturday evening my girlfriend and her sister get together with a few friends and have a couple drinks and just hang out and chat. Well, this most recent Saturday while we were gone my sister decided it was okay to have 30+ people over, and when we got back home the house was just filled with college kids. I was at a loss for words. I just stared into the crowd in shock. My girlfriend was the same. It was her sister that spoke up and said, okay, anyone who doesn't live here is going to leave this very moment or I'm calling the police. All the kids quickly funneled out, leaving my sister as the only one in the room and a huge mess everywhere. I'm a generally calm person, so I just asked her why in the world did she think it was okay to have so many people over, especially in the times we're in. All she said was, I thought you'd be cool with it. I was pretty upset with that but was ready to forgive her for it if she cleaned the mess herself until I looked around and found that almost all of our food had been eaten and most of our alcohol gone, as well as an expensive pair of sneakers from my collection in my room. After seeing the food missing I asked what the hell happened and she said, I told everyone to help themselves to whatever. After hearing that I told her to grab her things, and that she's not staying here anymore. My girlfriend reiterated this. My sister protested saying that it shouldn't be that big a deal. She didn't know someone stole my sneakers. But I told her this isn't up for debate and she needs to leave. She ran to her room, packed her things and stormed out in tears. After that I felt kinda bad because I don't want to do anything to make my little sister cry. The next day I called my parents to make sure she made it there safely. My mom said she didn't go there and that she was staying at a friend's house near the school. I'm like, why hasn't she been staying there this whole time then? And my mom said it's because she wanted to spend time with us since she never gets to see us. At that point I felt pretty bad. I called her a few times to apologize but she won't take my calls. So am I the asshole? Update. My sister just called me apologizing and sent me an e-transfer for roughly the price of the food and alcohol. I found the sneakers myself a few days ago, so that's all good. My girlfriend told her that it'll take a long time to earn our trust back and my sister accepted and knows that. Thank you for the feedback. Not the asshole. I can tell you really do love your sister because I can think of no other good reason that you should apologize to her. She opened your home to basically the public, They ate all your food and alcohol, stole your shoes, and says she told everyone to help themselves? She's lucky the only thing you did was kick her out. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Having a party with 30 plus isn't really spending time with you either. Not the asshole. Oh no. This is not it. Like, I get it, she wants the college experience from those very awkward movies, but this should have been discussed with you, especially if she is staying with you because of we all know what. I mean, hell, you even want to apologize to her, even though she is the one who should be apologizing here. You don't seem very spiteful, but she has made a mistake here and contributed to a financial loss. Honestly, you seem to value the relationship a lot. Talk it out calmly. Maybe give her some space. Explain to her why you were that upset and that she can't just do stuff like this. She is an adult and has to respect shared spaces, especially if she at one point lives with others. I really hope things will calm down soon for all of you. Little sister needs to learn to respect you, your home, and the people who live there. Just help yourselves to whatever, when it's not even your whatever is pretty ballsy. You don't need to apologize. You didn't overreact. But try to have a conversation with her. Seems some communication is lacking if you didn't even know that she valued time spent with you. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I've got a feeling that wanted to spend time with you. Bit is what your sister fed your mom when she asked her your same question. As a little sister myself, she is the asshole here, not you. I see other comments defending her, and honestly I can only imagine what y'all would let people get away with. You did nothing wrong. Your level of anger is completely logical, and you should not apologize to her. However, if it calms your soul, then go ahead and tell her sorry, but trust me, it contributes to the spoilt rotten attitude we little sisters tend to have. NTA. And send her the bill for the stolen sneakers. She's gonna learn today. You had 2 rules. Couple people over max and no mess. With a couple of people I am going to be lenient and say you meant about 5 people in total, to include her. Sounds like she invited her class and made your house into a pigsty while allowing people free reign of all your stuff. She broke your 2 simple and easy rules to follow. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for calling my husband a cheapskate because of what he did at the restaurant? Ever since my husband lost his job we haven't been eating out. It's what we used to do on regular basis. We used to go eat at prestigious restaurants. Try new dishes and happily pay over $100 in one night. Now we're struggling with money, and there were times when we had to sell furniture to afford food. My husband has been tightening the grip on money by keeping track on budget and calculating everything. He takes his calculator everywhere with him. To the gas station, to the grocery store, everywhere. I suggested he take it easy, but he keeps stressing out about spending too much money. He's been wanting to take me and the kids out for dinner and was able to make it happen. We arrived, picked a table. He grabbed the menu and pulled out his calculator, then asked what we're ordering. I told him to put the calculator down. It's embarrassing. He said he needed to know how much he'd be paying for our meals since he had limited amount of money. He finally made the orders and I kept asking how much he'd pay in total, and he said, "I got it. Don't worry about it." The waitress came with the bill, and when my husband looked at it, he lifted both eyebrows, muttering that something's gotta be wrong. He proceeded to tell the waitress that we ordered XYZ, did the math, and the total price of our dinner was $45. She showed me the bill and it was $65. He insisted she got it wrong and showed her what the number on his calculator. The waitress respectfully said that his calculator got it wrong, or he didn't calculate the numbers properly. He lashed out at her, telling that his mother's a math teacher and he learned from her, he never gets it wrong. I tried to get him to settle down. I was carrying extra money so I could pay $20. He insisted he was only going to pay $45, take it or leave it. I said it's okay, I'll help him pay. He took offense and said he'd never let me pay. Why? 'Cause we might need that $20 for groceries. He demanded to see the manager and the manager agreed. Total cost was $65. I got fed of this and pulled out $20, but my husband loudly said, "Don't." Then told the manager that he and the waitress ain't fooling anyone because the total cost is $45 not $65, and said that if they don't just take the $45 there's no telling how this night was gonna end. The manager took the $45 and asked us to leave the restaurant that very right moment. I was too upset. I flipped out outside and called my husband a cheapskate for making a scene in public and embarrassing me and the kids and not letting me help pay. Also, his math skills were useless cause he got the number wrong and should apologize for his behavior. He looked at me and said, "I can't believe you just said that to me," and that he was just trying to get us to enjoy a meal out. He kept quiet and is very upset I called him cheapskate knowing that he's struggling. Am I the asshole? Honestly, I've never raised my voice on him and I admit I caused some hurt when I spoke to him like that. I'm hesitant to call anyone an asshole here because your husband is clearly having an emotional breakdown and going through a really hard time. He needs help. It sounds like he is disconnected from reality. However, since a judgment is needed, you're not the asshole for being frustrated and mad he was so rude to the staff and embarrassed you. Not the asshole. Husband is wrong on so many levels. He probably forgot to include the tax, for starters. I'm curious why the manager just didn't add up everything, on the calculator, right in front of your husband. Seems like that could have solved some of the problem. Don't get me wrong. I believe the check was $65, and you handled it as well as you could. It just seems that the matter could have been dealt with quickly had they just added everything up in front of your husband. Info. How is he $20 off, and why does he have a calculator separate from his phone? Oh, and not the asshole. Making a public scene over the cost of something is tacky any and everywhere, especially at a family-friendly restaurant. If he was arguing the price, surely he didn't tip either, which is also tacky and embarrassing. I'm sorry, but if you have to be worried and calculate and really can't risk going even 10-20 over something like $45, maybe you guys couldn't afford going out and should have waited. Now, I think he's going through a serious breakdown and needs to get help, talk to someone. Which I know will be hard since therapy is not cheap. But a conversation is needed. Not the asshole for how you feel. I find this whole situation quite sad. This was really sad to read for some reason. He has become consumed with your financial trouble. Your husband isn't handling his situation well at all. He needs a lot of help. He didn't behave correctly, but since this is new behavior due to circumstance, I am kind of iffy about calling him an aw. See if you can convince him for therapy. Are there any sources from where you can cheap therapy? In my country there are many private practices who give sessions for free or at absolute minimum cost for those who need help but can't afford it. Info. Is he the breadwinner of the family? Because his reaction shows someone having an emotional breakdown, and if he doesn't get professional help it could get even worse. I don't understand all the ENTA comments. The bill was off by $20. Neither the waitress nor the manager explained how was it off by $20 but just said they were right. I understand why the wife was embarrassed, but that doesn't make the husband ta. Unless you tell me that the manager cleared off his misunderstanding or gave an explanation, I don't think the husband did anything wrong. It's either no assholes here or you are the asshole. Not the asshole. These are clearly the actions of a man who feels desperate and defeated. I hope things improve and he is back on his feet again soon. Your poor kids, having to see that. Maybe I'm misjudging him, but I feel like maybe he drawn to the extreme highs and lows in life. I wonder if somewhere between $100 dinners and pinching every penny, there is a happy medium?